Right. Welcome back to Pine Tree State Restorations and the crossbow that won't fire. Well, this is what I found out. When I took the crossbow apart, I was actually amazed that I fixed it so fast and understood what was going on so fast. So let me explain to you. First, I'd like to tell you about the crossbows. They've been around for centuries. And a modern high-powered crossbow, is good for 100 yards max. I mean, they might have some that are more, but most of the time people are shooting them 50, 60 yards. But the modern crossbow is deadly accurate, like a rifle, very powerful, 500 feet per second. I mean, it is a deadly weapon. It is super accurate too. This crossbow had a problem. People worked on it. It was at a gun shop, and nobody could figure out what was going on. But I quickly found out what the problem was. And it was actually a couple of stupid problems that I don't know why they couldn't figure it out. But let's go through it. Here's the trigger mechanism on this crossbow right here. See if I can zoom in. And when you cock it, watch what happens. You're going to pull this down, and the safety will go on, and then you'll have the mechanism will be cocked. Now, all crossbows, modern ones that is, will not fire if the arrow or the bolt is not in the trigger mechanism or not loaded. And a lot of crossbows require that you use an arrow that the nock has a snap-on nock, not a just notch like this. This here is like something you'd shoot in a bow, or I don't actually know what this arrow came out of. It's not the right arrow. It was with the crossbow. It was sold used, but this is not the arrow that goes with this crossbow, and I'll tell you why. In order for this crossbow to fire, you have to put the arrow in the crossbow, and remember, the oddball fletching goes down and the two colors go up. So it would be going in like this. Okay. So look what happens. Okay. It's a little off. All right. Well, when you push that in to the bow, the snap-on one, you notice that little lever moves. Okay. This moves out of the way of the hammer so that when you pull the trigger, the arrow will fire. If the bolt's not in the gun, this will lift up and block the trigger. Watch what happens when I take it off safe. It's off safety. And watch what happens when I try to fire it. Nothing. Because it gets jammed up right there. Okay? It's a safety feature, because if you dry fired this, you'd break your limbs. Now let's recock it. I can do that here. Move that. Okay. Now, arrow goes in, and if you don't have a snap-on nock, if it's just sitting there, this is not going to be out of the way. It's gonna be. It only moves out of the way just a hair for you to fire it. So if we was to take it off safe, like right now, and then we got this here. See how that fired? See how it moved? Okay. Let's cock it again. All right. Put that back in there. If you got the snap-on nock and it's laying in the bow like it's supposed to, it's going to move that just enough so that it will fire. Now, if I was to take this off safe and I had this in there, see if I could do it. See? See here. Got a hole. I can't really do it unless I put something in there. See how it fired? Okay. So, this particular crossbow doesn't like this kind of nock, because you put it in and it just slides up. It doesn't snap on the string. Okay. This has to move just a hair, letting the gun know that the arrow is in the trigger mechanism. All right. See, that arrow is kind of like high right there. Once you put that right arrow in there, that'll be down and that'll fire. So, also I noticed that the spring right here was too stiff for this. This has to be light. The other ones are not, but this has to be light. It's just a light pressure. And how I know that wasn't the original spring is because you could tell because someone cut it off, put a different spring in there, and they cut it, and it didn't have the factory flat ends on it. So I just kind of guesstimated, cut it to where I thought it should be just by other bows I worked on, and that should be just about right there. Because if it pushes the arrow up when you snap it on the nock, then it's too tight, right? So we got that there. While I had it out, I polished the arrow guide. I also did a trigger job. I polished all the moving points on the inside, cleaned it all up, and I'm going to be putting it back together today. But I just wanted to show you what was going on. So basically, it was two things. The wrong arrow, not in the gun, the crossbow, causing it not to release. And secondly, the spring on there was a little too tight, especially for this one because this arrow don't even snap on the string, it just sits there. So if you're walking around or cruising around or doing whatever, it wouldn't take much for this just to move and then it wouldn't fire. You know, so because this holds the arrow down, okay, right there, but it don't hold it that from that being moved. It could be easily moved, and then it wouldn't shoot. So you want an arrow that snaps on. The nock has got a snap on it. It can snap on, and then it's not going to fall off. It's going to stay on there. That's going to push down on there. This is going to push down slightly, and then it's going to fire. So if you got a crossbow that won't fire, chances are this is what's going on. If somebody walks in the door and sells you a crossbow at a gun shop or some kind of store, and you don't take for granted that the arrows that are in it are the right ones. Because they're probably not. And they're selling it because they can't get it to work. So I've seen lots of reasons why people get rid of crossbows, and it's a lot of times they don't work. Well, a lot of times they go to Walmart and buy an arrow thinking they got the right one and it don't work. So you got to be aware of that. Also, these things need to be cleaned and oiled. You don't want to just leave them dry, and you don't want to let them rust. You know, you want to keep them clean and oiled. Usually crossbows are out in bad weather sometimes, so this is pretty easy to take apart and clean. Got to make sure that's clean and oiled up. But that's it. That's all that was wrong with it. I was kind of surprised, really, being the amount of people that looked at it. And the guy that sold it, I think he knew it was broke. He just wanted to get rid of it. But it's a common thing with these. So I got other projects coming up. I got an 1894 Daisy Winchester up there that's all messed up. But it's an NRA one. It's a NRA Centennial one, which is kind of cool. And then I'm also making, this is down the road a piece, but you can see I got a lot going on here. I'm also making a Red Ryder, and I just started working on this, a Red Ryder into a mare's leg. So I got the stock here, got to do some trigger work, going to make a big loop handle for it, going to change that to walnut, going to refinish it. I chopped the barrel and magazine tube. I'm going to make a brass piece on the end. I got a saddle ring. I'm going to paint the receiver bronze, butt plate bronze, barrel black, clean it all up. I'm going to modify the trigger so it looks like an 1892 Winchester trigger instead of having that safety on there. I got rid of the ratchet bar on the inside for the safety. This thing shoots amazing, super accurate. Took the sights off because of the mare's leg in the movie. There's no sights. So it's not an exact replica of a mare's leg, but it's also cheaply done. I got to make a brass butt plate for the stock, and that's something down the road. It's kind of cool. But I got a lot of stuff coming up. I seem to get busy this time of year. I got some vintage flashlights. I got some more vintage lighters. I have all kinds of stuff coming up. I got vintage radios. You name it coming up. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff up there. Check out those old 1930s Transformers. Ain't those cool? Check out the mini shells I made. 12 gauge, 1.5 mini shells. I got this old lighter I got to fix. It's leaks like a sieve. It's a old 1950s table lighter. I mean, I just got a lot of little things to get caught up on. But that's what it is with the Crossbow. And stay tuned, more to come. And thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you can. And we will see you soon. Have a good one.